Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Judd's camp notes. Bright and early on a Monday here, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Fired up.
Oh, yeah.
The Vikings had to move, if you haven't heard, maybe you haven't, and you were planning on going to the night practice tonight on this Monday, August 5th. It's a washout already. They announced that yesterday. So they're rescheduling a night practice for a week from today, or a week from tonight, I guess, August 12th. And instead of the players having an off day tomorrow, players are off today because it's pouring rain, and then back on the practice field tomorrow. So in the meantime, as you're looking to fuel up for the week of practice, preseason game coming up, maybe you can stop at Quick Trip, get some gas, get some snacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what? You're going out to a Vikings camp, and let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, you're like Phil and you're low on gas and you don't care, but you should care.
My
and
gas light's on right now, by the way.
Went all the way down to 5 miles yesterday.
You guys,
5-mile range.
You guys, why would you do that? You know what?
Plenty of time.
Sports Dad says just stop your car at Quick Trip, fill up, and then go inside if you want and pick up, I don't know, lunch perhaps, because Quick Trip, as you can see, if you are watching this right now, so much more than a convenience store. No, you know what, folks? This is a grocery store that's easier. It makes your life simpler. So yes, take care of all of those needs at Quick Trip. And here's the great thing too. If you need gasoline, but you're sort of tired, you're like, I don't really want to go in, Sports Dad. What should I do? There's the Quick Trip app. Dex uses it all the time. Picks up curbside. That's right. Quick Trip has everything that you need. They don't need training camp. They're already prepared for the season.
You're damn right. All right, let's waste no time. Judd's camp notes. So here's what's going to happen, because they're basically, there's no access to practice Sunday, no practice Monday.
That's okay.
So Judd's camp notes, recapping things from the weekend, Saturday, and then tomorrow will be kind of a middle of training camp, big picture, 5 things we have learned so far, leading into Tuesday, Wednesday practice the rest of the week. But Judd's camp notes, good to hear from him again. Good
to be back. Especially since Saturday was I believe it was day 2 of me having to drive out to training camp with all of the windows in my car down, because of course I can't get the back driver's side window fixed until next Saturday.
A warrior.
The cardboard is up right now with a towel on top of that.
Oh, that is janky.
So that's what's. But that's got. Oh, it is janky. But when I drive out there, of course, it's not safe to not be able to see out that way since you're trying to change lanes. So, yeah, day 2 of Judd going to training camp, putting himself in a little bit of jeopardy just for you, because you need the camp notes. If you saw our camp notes, if you watched the show that Phil and I did on Saturday off of Friday, this is sort of like the companionship piece. Because I believe that the Friday and Saturday practice is very closely linked. So it's sort of the double album of training camp.
Okay.
Because as you recall, Phil, we talked about this. Sam Darnold looked really good on Friday. JJ McCarthy had easily his worst practice. He struggled. He struggled in a bunch of drills, 8 for 16. On the day, he got some chances, very few, with the first team in red zone. He damn near threw a pick. Theo Jackson almost jumped a route. So it was a tough day. And we talked about on Saturday, how would he bounce back? Now, in a few years, this will probably be like, who cares, right? He's JJ McCarthy. He's the starting QB. He had a bad day.
How did he bounce back on Saturday after the Friday practice to end the first full week of training camp?
How did he bounce back? And the answer was incredibly encouraging. JJ McCarthy, bad day Friday, spot on, really good on Saturday. Everything that you know, a 21-year-old kid, first professional training camp, adversity is going to hit. The concern is not the adversity, it's how you handle that. And JJ McCarthy on Saturday, 28 snaps, 17 of 21. And if you have been on the X/Twitter machine, you probably have seen some of the throws. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll go through some. But I mean, just as far as, Phil, our conversation, which is, okay, bad days are fine. What do you learn? JJ McCarthy, it was really impressive.
I'm curious here, not to put Sports Dad on the spot, Judd's camp notes on the spot. You've been tallying the snaps for both Darnold and JJ McCarthy, and then in the full team and maybe 7-on-7, you have been tracking some of the completions and the statistics dating back.
Yeah.
Do you have all of could we add up the completion percentage and some of the other touchdowns and interceptions for JJ?
No, off the top of my head, I could probably give you.
Well,
picks.
don't you have the raw notes?
I do, but it would take a lot of work, and it's not that important. I'm giving you
You just want to do the math.
I'm not going to do the math.
Totally
I'm not
fine,
going to do the math. I mean,
Hold
I'll give you the raw notes.
I don't think we should decide on this. I just want to know from the audience, anecdotally. I don't know if we can't really put a poll up in the comment. Maybe we can. I don't know. But do you want Judd to go back into the raw notes and add up JJ McCarthy's completion percentage?
Somebody go back and watch all of the show so far, listen to what I've said, and then spew the stats back at me, a far greater math mind than Sports Dad.
If possible, I'd like yards per attempt. I would like passer rating. I'd like QBR on a 1 to 100 scale.
Checking yardage from trying to see was that 5 yards or 15? I can't tell.
And then I want the average net yards per attempt, where you back out the sack yardage too, if possible. If somebody could go back.
Well, I could do average depth of throw.
Depth of throw, 100%.
And if I was to get super aggressive, I could start to do what the guys on the Packers beat do, which is take a stopwatch to training camp and do hang times on punts.
They're literally on. Was it the Cheesehead TV you're talking about? Was it Nagler?
Packer beat guys? I think Domovsky's been doing that for years. He's been they track it.
That's hardcore. I did see. I think it was our guy Aaron Nagler on Cheesehead TV. And they were taking fan video because media can't take video of, and they encourage fans not to.
Correct.
And the Vikings are even sneaking into the DMs of Vikings fans who have big followings and telling them, please stop posting full all 22 footage. But I think it was Cheesehead TV where they're literally taking videos of each play at practice and breaking it down on YouTube. We would get our credentials revoked for doing that. And I think the value of Judd's camp notes being out there is more than running the all 22 fan footage of the plays.
If you want to talk about just a little bit for a second before I get back to McCarthy, how the sausage is made, it's a very weird dynamic because we are allowed, and it's awesome, on not the sideline, but we're just past, as you know, Phil, the sideline.
Or back of the end zone. Or back of the end zone. The grass, basically.
But if we were to shoot that, you can't glean a damn thing because first of all, it's often obstructed by players. And second of all, it's not a good look. The people in the stands who now are back, Saturday was just a glorious day of every play. They're the ones who have the good view. And so they can shoot it and you can see formations.
Yeah.
So what the Vikings are afraid of, if they were to allow us to shoot, we wouldn't really get that much because
you could go up you could go up higher.
Well, but I'm saying if they just said, okay, you guys can shoot, but you can't go up, but the fact is, you know what? It's open to people. It's hopeless. Yeah. And some of the film is actually, Packers case or the Vikings case, really good.
And just to be clear, and we'll get back into the quarterback discussion here. If Sports Dad, or I've been out there for a handful of practices, if we were to go up and say, screw it, let's just take some video. I mean, everyone else is doing it. They would then revoke our training camp credential, and you would not be able to spar with Kevin O'Connell at press conferences and talk to players. And
there are already places to get that.
Sure.
So it's not if Score North doesn't shoot it, who does? It's everyone does. They're up in the stands too. So that's cool. You get that there.
Yes, thank you
for. You get Sports Dad. You get Sports Dad and O'Connell's comedy bits going consistently. All right, so McCarthy, second consecutive day, second time in all of training camp, got again very limited first team work. That included a completion to Justin Jefferson. Just good to see.
First one. Just
a small note. Let's get to some of the highlights though, because we saw McCarthy putting on display what he's capable of. In 11 on 11, there was a play, and this is 11 on 11, probably in minus territory, so it's not like the red zone or something. Flushed from the pocket, rolls to his right on the run, sort of has to leave his feet, so sort of like leaps a little bit.
Saw this one.
And completes a beautiful pass that I would say I estimated went for about 15 yards to Jalen Naylor, who continues to have a great camp. But this is the type of athletic throw, dare I say, we have not seen from a Vikings starting quarterback, potentially starting QB in a long, long time. And what it did to me was it shows arm strength, because he had no base to make that throw. Like, he's literally going off his feet and makes the throw. That shows just pure arm talent.
Love it, man. Yeah, he's a decade and a half younger than the previous Vikings quarterback. He does have more athletic ability. I think he's just a bit bigger, measurably bigger too. So it's interesting watching him. He is more athletic than you would think just watching him drop back and hand the ball off at Michigan. When he does get to flex that muscle, it's impressive. And I don't think anyone's going to mistake him for like Lamar Jackson in terms of mobility, but he can scoot out and create some more time for himself. And he can make those throws, like throwing off the wrong foot or fading away with no base. So that's been impressive to watch so far in the first week and a half.
That is how you make your offensive line look better, though. You know, the offensive line sucks. Well, if I stand in the pocket and barely move, yes, it's going to make it tough. You make your offensive line better by improvising at times too. So like, that's a big step. Working from his own end in what I would call, it probably technically was not a backed up drill, but definitely deep in the offense's territory. And I think both of these also shockingly found their way, the highlight clips, to Twitter. McCarthy completed probably what I would call intermediate to just a little bit less than that passes to Nick Muse and Brandon Powell, but they turned into huge gains. I mean, they were nice. Again, it's not the depth of the pass, in my opinion, there. It's got to click quickly, and in both cases it did. Mm-hmm. Really, really nice bounce back passes from like a day that was like, oh boy, to, okay, you're now showing us something that is showing your maturity. And the thing about McCarthy, too, and I was talking to somebody about this after practice on Saturday, is if you go back and watch the OTAs now, there were some throws where you're like, oh, my God, what's that? I told you, he had a really strong arm, but there were some really questionable passes. And, like, you can see the progression here. Even on the bad day on Friday, there's a progression of comfort and I would say ability and adaptation. So I don't mean to get too excited, but I was harsh on him. I thought rightfully so on Friday. And if I'm going to be harsh on him when he has a good day, I think it probably needs to be equally as spotlighted in the up and down roller coaster nature of what he's going through.
So, by the way, I don't know how active the Sports Dad is on Instagram. You can follow him at JZolgad on Instagram. I don't know if you've posted in quite some time.
Yeah, I do a lot of TikTok a lot of Twitter. I don't do a ton of the Insta.
But JJ McCarthy on Instagram, he did post a collage, just like a bunch of photos of him at practice, I think from the Saturday practice. So he knows he had a bad practice on Friday. And he also knows he came back on Saturday.
I want to talk about this picture, yes.
So he posts a photo collage, or like just a photo slideshow. Location, the forest. And he has an Einstein quote.
Yep.
People love chopping wood. In this activity, one immediately sees results.
Football.
Yeah.
And it's him metaphorically chopping wood at practice, Vikings training camp.
And he continued to impress on Saturday. Touchdown passes in the red zone to Lucky Jackson and Trent Sherfield. I've got a question, impromptu ask. If not, it's fine. There's a photo of him throwing a pass from the pocket. In that, do we have the ability to throw that shot up?
I mean, I could literally just show it on my phone here.
Okay.
Is it this one right here?
No, it's one where it's closer up. And
it's great production value
and
right here.
He's throwing the ball. And it just gets to a point.
Is it this one right here?
Yes. Perfect.
Right there?
Perfect. Okay. So that pass right there is something that needs work. He continues to have balls when he stays in the pocket, tipped at the line of scrimmage.
You're saying that this little three-quarters motion here.
That three-quarter motion is fine if he's on the run ordinarily, improvising. But what I'm telling you, and this is not just one day. It's consistent. There's probably one a day, if not two at times. That 3-quarter motion, if he's going to stay in the pocket and actually have to take time, he needs to get up over the top. Now where it works is, and he's good at this, if it's going to be a quick delivery, right? Bang, bang. 3-step drop, bang, out. He can go 3 quarters. But when he drops back into the pocket and has to take time, which he does at times, 1, because he's a rookie, and 2, because these guys are really good. This isn't college. You don't have the ability to stand in the pocket with these mammoth men who are incredibly athletic coming in with their arms like this and take your time. And then as they're coming in, now they're on you, you're still trying to zip it out. I don't know how he's going. I mean, it can be worked on. It's not a death knell. But what I'm saying is that's the one thing that I've seen consistently. And these defenses are A, damn good, and B, they know your tells. Like, they know if you're standing back there and you're going to come 3 quarters, I'm going to get my arms up because I got a good chance. So that 3-quarter motion, I think, is fine in some circumstances. But if you're going to have to take some time in the pocket, I think you got to come up over the top more.
So is he reverting to that arm slot on a regular basis? I guess that's something to keep an eye on, or maybe talk to old KOC about.
I think he's more comfortable. I think he's comfortable with that arm slot, and it's not going to be a problem in certain situations. But the problem with the balls that get tipped, there have been 2 of these in camp, and Phil, I think you saw one. The problem with the balls that get tipped is one time he went to try and catch it himself.
He did catch one of them.
And he would have gotten annihilated. And the second time, he actually did catch it. And it's like, okay, first of all, I don't want you doing that. But second of all, you're going to have to adjust your mechanics in the pocket, because that's not something that's going to just go away unless you actually adjust to it.
It's a good observation. And the fact that he was comfortable enough to post that photo, though, of potentially poor arm angle, arm slot. Maybe Sports Dad can comment on there and just correct him. Say, hey, man, glad you're chopping wood here, but let's chop with some more sustainable mechanics here long term in the pocket. Okay?
I'm willing to bet the head coach might have. I don't know the head coach will elaborate to the Fourth Estate about that, but yeah, I'm willing to bet they've talked about it. But that's why this is a process.
Yep. Okay, so JJ McCarthy, nice little bounce back from Friday to Saturday.
Good bet. More good quarterback news. I think that as a whole, I think Saturday was the best day of QB news in totality. Sam Darnold, 2nd consecutive really nice day. Now, the interesting thing was, according to my records, the snaps separated a bit. I told you that McCarthy had, 28? Darnold had 42. So he got more. He clearly got more work.
It's a lot of snaps, too. They're moving at pace. Or did we bring Nick Mullins down to 0?
We brought him down to 3. But no, you're right. Okay. They're moving. That's a good point. I have Darnold 21 of 28. But here's the most important thing. And I harped on this when it didn't look good. And the last 2 practices, it started to look good. 14 and 18 are beginning to gel.
Oh.
Darnold and Jefferson. I told you that there were a few passes in the first week plus where Jefferson makes his living, the intermediate stuff over the middle. They were not timed well. They basically led Jefferson into defenders, which is not good. Darnold connected with Jefferson on a sideline pass, I estimate, for about 20 yards. In 7-on-7, had a deep ball that would have gone for touchdown. Now that's 7-on-7, so it's not as notable as 11-on-11 success. And he also hit him on a pass over the middle, which was very important.
Okay.
So I would say that among the most important Sam Darnold takeaway on Saturday was the chemistry with Jefferson. It seems to be really developing now.
And in fairness to McCarthy, because people might be wondering, well, isn't McCarthy building chemistry with Jefferson? He's not really being given the chances to. He did complete a pass to Jefferson, but how many first-team reps? So he got 3 first-team reps on Friday, McCarthy did. How many would you estimate he got on Saturday?
Just a few.
Like a handful
few.
or less.
Less. I'd say less than that. Yeah, they're definitely not prioritizing it. He works in quickly, and then he's gone. So yes, there's no McCarthy Jefferson concern because it's not
they're
prioritized.
not even. Yeah, so, I want to make that clear that right. We're a week and a half into practice, and why hasn't McCarthy built chemistry with JJ? Not being given the chance yet.
Yes, which is fine.
Mm-hmm. By design.
Yep. Darnold also hit Addison on a deep ball that would have gone for a touchdown. The only bad thing was Jordan had to wait for the ball to come down, and so he literally had to stop and catch it. So you'd like to see that a little bit more in rhythm. I did hear Darnold talk about in his pre-practice press conference a couple of days ago, though, asked about the success thus far on the deep ball in training camp, and he said he did prioritize that this summer. He said that was something where he didn't feel that and there's a lot of his career where he probably feels bad about it. But anyway, that was one thing that he said he prioritized, probably knowing too that when you're going to sign with a team that's got two outstanding receivers, it's smart. But his success on the deep ball is no fluke. He actually did work on that, which is why I'm guessing for the most part, it does appear that the loft and air on the ball is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a clear cut plan of how to get the ball to those two guys, especially Justin.
Yep. Yeah. It's every practice. I feel like every practice you've documented some sort of 35, 40, 50-yard pass floating into the air to either Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, or I don't know if he's connected with Naylor or not, or if Naylor's been mixing in probably more with the JJ McCarthy snaps. But yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
we should probably look at the weather forecast when we get closer to New York to see what's the wind like in meadows in the Meadowlands on week 1. So that could be a windy place, man. So the deep ball might be taken out. We got to do a weather check starting 1 week out every day to see what are we looking at for gusts by about game time.
But what we can't judge, to your point, and it's an excellent point, is are they going to open up the garage doors and allow the wind to sweep?
We got
through?
some wind tunnels just like at Progressive Field.
Oh yeah, the old place, it was awful. MetLife Stadium, I don't know if it's as bad, but there is definitely tricks there. So they could actually trick it up too. Garage door open. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, Sam Darnold's used to. He didn't perform well in that environment early in his career, but he's definitely used to that environment more than most other Vikings. Hey, before we get to the rest of Judd's camp notes here, Roku TV. Roku is America's #1 TV streaming platform. In fact, I know that the sports dad is disgusted by the Olympics, but I love just opening up the menu of options on my Roku menu, finding Peacock and Olympics or YouTube TV, whatever it is, just bopping back and forth. But did you know Roku also makes smart TVs? And they give you access to all your favorite TV shows and premium TV, live news, sports. Go to Roku.com to learn more or shop at a retailer near you. The new Roku Pro Series 4K TV automatically adjusts your shows and sporting events with Smart Picture Max.
Football.
That's right.
Love it.
Again, go to Roku.com to learn more or shop at a retailer near you. Also up for grabs this month in the Score North app is a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that does all of those things I just mentioned. Nearly an $1,800 value, and we're giving one away at the Score North app right now. Just if you haven't dabbled, it's free to download. Go to Listener Rewards in the menu, and perhaps you could be the lucky winner of a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV.
Football.
Awesome. I'd love to win that.
Right. Judd, Padres is, in fact, real quick, before you talk about Padres and some of the delicious craft beer that you can get your hands on. So you can register. We are throwing a party at Padres. We're going to do sort of a private in-house Purple Daily podcast recording. The event is free, but it's only open to 100 people. Everyone in attendance is going to get a Padres and Score North pint glass filled with Padres beer. And you can register at scorenorth.com/party. You must be 21, scorenorth.com/party at Padres, Judd.
It's featuring you as well. So let's be very clear here. I don't know. I did not request, just put my name. Just put my name there. It's featuring Phil as well.
Right, but I would say Padres plus the Sports Dad
is great, but I'm just saying I like to share the wealth
here.
with my buddies.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, so what we're talking about here.
I'm not sharing that 75-inch Roku TV with you.
I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to. That's fine. You know what? I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But what I'm not fine with is if I can't get my Padres beer, because I'm going to tell you right now, let's just add a few this weekend. A local craft brewery recreating Irish and UK classics, as well as some innovative craft beers. I want to talk to you about one in particular, all right? Because I went to the liquor store and I said, where's the Padres? And they said, it's right here, Sports Dad. And I said, okay, give me a couple of these. This is the, nice can too here. This is the red ale. And boys, I'm telling you right now, life changer, game changer, absolutely delicious. A variety of beers as well. There's some lighter ones, but they are all absolutely great. Their beer available now in more than 80 liquor stores. That number is continuing to grow. I, for instance, stopped by at my Byerly's and Lund's and got some stores in the Metro. Check them out on Facebook or Instagram, or for a complete list of where their beers are available, go to Padregs. That's PADRAIGS.com. Padregs, the new beer of Sports Dad, and I want you to come along with me on a journey of deliciousness.
And again, scorenorth.com/party to come hang out with us, and we'll do a live podcast recording. We'll have feedback mics in the audience as well. So, all right, let's get back to Judd's camp notes.
All right, last Darnold note, and it's a Darnold/Aaron Jones note. This one I think also you can find if you dig. It's a touchdown pass to Aaron Jones in, I believe it's the corner of the end zone, and it is a great catch. So again, like you said, when Jones signed him, like, really? And I have now become president of his fan club, and it only increases my excitement when I see a running back make a catch like that. This guy is slick. This guy is sleek. This guy's got good hands. The pass was nice. The catch was better. I just don't sleep on the ability of the running back pass game to pick up. I don't know if that means the screen game becomes great.
It's everything.
I hope it improves, but you got to be able to have that part of the game.
Even as just an outlet, just a check down outlet.
Yep.
He has a chance to get you some yards. He has a chance. It was a journey up a mountain for Alexander Mattison to even just reel in the pass without bobbling it. And then it's like Aaron Jones knows what he's doing in all regards. It's going to be, you're seeing it at training camp. The health is the biggest factor for him, just age and health. But It doesn't look age-wise like he's losing much of a step, at least in the training camp portion.
And Dalvin could catch. But the thing with Dalvin by 2022 was he had been beaten up so badly that I think what drove them crazy was the lost yard carries. So he would have, he'd break one loose occasionally or catch a pass, and that would be great. But I think what O'Connell didn't like was he lost 2 yards, and now it's 2nd and 12. And then he'd gain a couple of yards. Well, now it's 3rd and 10, right? So there's a definite philosophy here. But yes, if you can turn those checkdowns into 8-yard gains, which I think a healthy Jones can, and there's no question, his body does not look nearly as beat up as Dalvin was. So I think there's a lot here potentially. And then Ty Chandler will play. So it's not like it's one guy, but.
Well, just one more thing on the Aaron Jones front. So Sharp Football put out this incredible ranking last week. Highest rate of being stuffed in short yardage, just individual running back rankings. So Alexander Mattison was second on this list. He had the second highest rate of being stuffed in short yardage at 50%. So it's a short yard. It's like 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, whatever it is, goal line. And he was stuffed before hitting the yardage that he needed to 50% of the time. Well, but offensive line, okay, sometimes, yes, but
not every time.
But other times, and by the way, Aaron Jones, 29%. So Alexander Mattison, 50%. Aaron Jones was almost twice as good in those situations at 29% only. Mm-hmm. Ty Chandler was only stuffed on 17% of short yardage situations. So just get rid of the stuffed running into the back of your guard. Like, find a way to get a couple yards is the name of the game for these situations.
But the thing about Chandler that was abundantly clear to everyone was what? Dude could put his foot in the ground and go.
Yep.
Like, he can't be a plotter anymore. These guys are too good. These guys are too good. These defensive lines now feature athletes across the whole, so it's not like, hey, if I can avoid fat Jerry Ball, I can gain 4 yards. Fat Jerry Ball is now some sleek Aaron Donald protege. So yes, that's huge. Okay, some general notes. And then I want to get to a theory that we can either flesh out here or in a future episode. Defensive tackle Jerry Tillery, who is seeing first team work, the former first round pick of the Raiders, who was with the Chargers, went down and it looked bad, was carted off the field. Turns out he got cleated. So They say he's going to be fine.
So
it looked bad.
It's a flesh wound, potentially.
It's a flesh wound. He probably was bleeding and it hurt like hell.
Okay.
But he's fine. Second consecutive practice, and this partially is based on guys being out as well, but it's still, we talked about it Saturday, it's worth noting on Monday, 7th round pick Levi Drake Rodriguez, whose motor doesn't stop. Vroom, vroom. More first team work. Just interesting.
Super interesting.
Just interesting. Don't sleep on that. And the last thing, and I don't think there was anything wrong with Christian Darrisaw, but it is interesting to know that Darrisaw got some snaps off with the first team offensive line on Saturday. David Quessenberry stepped in at left tackle. And now you might say, well, okay, sports dad, come on, the minutia. Just stop with the minutia, but I won't. Here's the important thing about that. If Blake Brandel was truly going to be a swing guy, your backup guy, okay, he's hurt now, let's move him from, he would have been your left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Quessenberry going to left tackle even more, and not shocking here, even more serves as an indication that Blake Brandel is the starter at left guard, and no matter what the Vikings say, they have no plans to relocate him if another guy goes out. They're trying to prep guys to be backups at different spots because Brandel is your left guard.
Is it fair to say that the top 8 offensive linemen are set in stone right now? So you've got across the starters, Darrisaw, Brandel, Bradbury, Ingram, and then Brian O'Neill.
Yep.
And then Quessenberry is your backup left tackle.
Yep.
Dalton Reisner is your backup swing guard. And then Dan Feeney is your backup center who can also play some guard.
Yeah. I'd say that's fair.
To, right?
I'd say that's fair. I
mean, then is it Walter Rouse and some of these other guys are just competing for maybe a 9th spot or just practice squad?
The interesting one to me, well, Rouse is among them. The other one I'm curious about, and I think he's going to the practice squad, but he has been used at both center and guard, is the Wake Forest guy, Michael Juergens.
Juergens, that's my guy.
Who they like a lot. And he has been taking, when Dalton Reisner was out of practice because he was nicked up on Friday, Juergens, I charted him as being at the guard, but he's played some center as well.
Yeah.
Now I'm guessing he's a practice squad guy. I do think that there's a chance that he has a future here, but I think your assessment is right. I think right now, if Bradbury got hurt, I think it's Feeney who's his backup right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Juergens has been like the starting third team center, or not starting, but like the third team
center. And then they kicked him up to guard second team, which means they clearly like what they've seen with him with the third team.
Yeah. And then it just becomes, so we got the top 8 look like they're pretty ironclad right now. Then it just depends on, do they keep a 9th and or a 10th? What do they need for kickoff return team that maybe it would be different from previous years?
That's what I want to throw something at you guys.
Is that where your theory is?
That's where my theory is. That's where my theory is. So
let's do it.
My theory is this, and I have not asked about this. I have no knowledge, but we do know from special teams coordinator Matt Daniels' press conference last week that he broached and was asked about the potential, and I think we did bring this up, of using a big man to kick off, because you are now the last line of defense in a literal fashion. Your teammates are all like at the 40 in plus territory.
Yeah.
You're still kicking off from your own 35. But I walked out to practice on Saturday. Gorgeous day. Hot footballs being played. And I looked across the field, and there in the punting competition, and let me tell you right now, punting competition, not a camp leg, is big Seth Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
Who's competing with Ryan Wright. But then I thought to myself, hold on a second here. This dude played wide receiver in college. Phil, you saw him, 6'5", 230, specimen.
He's a big guy. He is a specimen. Yes.
No fat. And I said to myself, I wonder if he can kick it all. He seems to me to be a guy, because if you go with a guy who's never kicked before, I mean, I'm sure some teams will try this, but if Vernon has, he's a punter, if he's done kicking work, he does strike me as the type of guy, because ball placement here is the key. So it's not can you boom the ball.
There needs to be a level of skill, and by the way, you can't just kick a ground ball on accident and it hits one of your guys in the ass, because now the ball comes out to the 40-yard line.
Yes.
So yeah, there's like, you have to pop it up, and there's a placement aspect to this. And it's a 20-yard depth landing zone. 20.
Correct. Yeah. But the point is, it's not like, okay, can you just boom the ball now? It's, can you creatively place the ball where it needs to be? And then if a guy, gets past all of your teammates, if you're just a little kicker and you're like, oh, I'm going to stop him, and you don't, it's touchdown.
Okay, if you could strategically forget about the kick for a second, if you just have a guy back there who's playing center field in case something happens, you'd want it to be somebody with some foot speed, because they might have to cut an angle off halfway across the field.
Absolutely, that's a good point.
So you'd probably want it to be a secondary player or a fast linebacker like a Brian Asamoah type. Like Brian Asamoah, if he could kick, I would say that's the perfect type of guy, because now you have like a 235, 245 pound fast bowling ball that could be a last line of defense.
Yep.
But what if half the time he kicks a line drive into the ass of a kick coverage team, and now the ball's back at the 40-yard line?
Right. I'm going to guess a guy that has experience punting has a little bit more of a grasp on the kicking portion than some guy who is, like, I can kick. Because I told you the first or second day of camp, I saw guys working on kickoffs, and I thought they were screwing around, but they weren't. They were actually, I think, like, can I do this? But because Seth Vernon is a specimen, and because he played wide receiver in college, which means he's got to have some speed, I'm just throwing it out there. It's going to be, not every team, I don't think, at the end of the day, is just going to say, he's our kicker, he's kicking. I think somebody's going to get creative, but as you said, Phil, it's the most important thing. You can't get too cute, because if then I accidentally squib kick it, I just screwed my team.
There's also going to be, I'm sure, like Matt Daniels and these other coordinators are building in ways where you got your kicker, and then you got your 10 guys up on the line that are ready to tackle whoever is returning it. It's not like they're all going to be running. It's not herd ball. There's going to be a strategy for 2, 3, or 4 of them to be second line of defense. Right. So I don't know. I think the most important thing is having someone that can kick it into that zone, so that you're not just constantly giving the opposing team the ball at the 35 or 40-yard line. But it does open up a whole blank canvas of possibilities here of it's
gonna be fun.
What you could attempt to do.
And so the last note, Saturday marked the 4th of 5 practices on the week that were held in pads. It's not the old days, but it's a lot of pads for O'Connell. And I think we discussed this on the show that we did on Saturday off the Friday practice. I think a big part of this is he wants these guys tougher. And I think the fumbles were seen, because they worked in training camp last year, right, on ball security. And then they screwed the pooch for how long? 5 weeks?
Yeah.
So I think O'Connell's like, okay, if we tried to go through the motions of ball security and fumbled a ton, perhaps we actually should make the practices a little bit rougher to try and work on that. Just a thought. But yes, this is a we're a long way from the 2022 Club Med O'Connell training camp.
Hey, I have a take or a thought on the thing you just brought up, which is like fumble prevention and just being tougher. Mm-hmm. I want to throw out to you guys after we say a shout out to Federated Insurance here real quick. Federated wants to make sure you have a game plan to stay focused on safety and preventing claims. Like it's like safety and preventing sacks if you're a quarterback. Federated's like having a great offensive line for your business. Let the team at Federated support your business by offering up a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services. At Federated Mutual Insurance Company, it's our business to protect yours. You can find out more at federatedinsurance.com. Today is not a day for golfing at the Meadows, but tomorrow looks like it might be. Looks like we're going to be cooled off, maybe in the low to mid 70s. Love this. But you sneak a little afternoon round of golf in after you're done working. Huh?
I stopped by the Meadows on Thursday, and I asked about that because you don't want to have a soggy course either, right? Like we've had such a rainy winter or rainy summer, I should say, and the Meadows at Mystic Lake is actually one of the more drier courses. They have built-in precautions to deal with that rain. So even though on Monday it's raining here in the Twin Cities, that's never good for golf weather. However, you can still go play on Tuesday. You can go play on Wednesday. You can book a tee time now. GolfTheMeadows.com. If you're booking a trip up to see the Vikings at US Bank Stadium and you also want to get a round in, I highly recommend our friends at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Tell them Purple Daily sent you. Go book that tee time. GolfTheMeadows.com.
So real quick here, off Judd's point, I've seen them every day in the individual drills that I'm out there to, where they'll be diving, they'll catch a pass, or they'll run and they'll like dive onto the mat with the football, like a ball carrier or running back. And then there's two guys or at least one guy with a stick with a pad on the end. That's kind of, you guys may have seen that video that went kind of viral of the Jaguars practice where they're all just doing it completely half-assed. And the guy with the poking stick is like barely doing his job. The Vikings are like making this a real drill for 5 to 10 minutes every practice. It feels like it's a real session. And this is the thing that I keep turning to when it comes to like the 6.5, 7 over/under win totals that I've seen with the Vikings. And yeah, like they have a question at quarterback, but they turned the ball over 34 times last year, which was second most, right behind the Cleveland Browns. I think it was 20 more turnovers compared to 2022. In terms of fumbles lost, they had the third most fumbles lost, 15 fumbles. So they were averaging a fumble lost per game last year. And then they were averaging 2 turnovers per game across the entire season. Some of that is you got to be better, tougher, ball security, pay better attention. But some of it's also just luck. And if a helmet hits your forearm in the right spot, or there's just going to be seasons where you're unlucky. Like, do we think that the Houston Texans, Cincinnati Bengals, and Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers, those teams all had half as many, if not fewer, turnovers as the Vikings? Are those teams just twice as responsible and better at ball security, or are they just a little luckier in 2023? So I would just say, like, there's a very good chance that with extra attention paid to this in training camp, just everyone thinking about it more productively, that the Vikings cut their turnovers from 34 down to like 22 or 24, and they win more games because they aren't, -3 turnover battle for the first each of the first 4 games of the season.
I think the important thing, though, is that O'Connell probably agrees with what you just said to an extent, but he's also trying to control what he can control, which is smart. And the emphasis on making sure that everyone knows that the football is the program is one of the most important things. I will say this, though, like if you want to talk about fumbles that cost the Vikings games or a game, the Justin Jefferson one that went through the end zone was not luck. I mean, he extended the ball and took a chance, and that's the type of thing that I think they want in a person's mind all the time.
Right, because, but when I say luck, though, I mean that play happens 100 times, like in an NFL week, a guy reaching out for a first down, a pylon, and a certain percentage of the time you're going to fumble, and a certain percentage of the time you're not going to. And I'm saying the Vikings had an inordinately high percentage of fumbles relative to what's normal in the NFL.
But I think they're trying to hammer home any fumbles that were caused by like a last ditch, I'm going to extend the ball. It's better off to not extend the ball. Like, I think that's what they're trying to hammer home, because there's going to be fumbles. And look, the interesting question off of your point is this: how much are the turnovers going to decrease with Sam Darnold at quarterback, who we don't know, might throw an inordinate amount of picks?
For sure.
But that's a different, but as KOC says, every interception has its own story.
Well, but Nick Mullins fired off.
Oh God,
fired off a bunch of picks late in the season.
I could see at the end of the year the turnovers not being cut down as significantly as the team would like, but it's now not lost fumbles, which is a different story.
Sure. So just something that they are mindful of during training camp, and also something to keep an eye on. That if I could say, of all these things that are changing with the Vikings and the personnel shifts and quarterbacks, the biggest reason why they didn't win 2 or 3 more games last year was because of turnovers and fumbles. They would not have been in that hole to start the season. They would have beat the Eagles. They probably would have beat the Chargers, and they're very much aware of that. So Judd's camp notes, great job.
Thank you.
Grinding through. Car window out,
either
gone, punched out, or the weather. We don't
right
know
now,
happened.
a towel and a piece of cardboard just protecting my car from the rain. Just a really incredible run here. But I mean, you know what? No time for crying. It's training camp. Things are tough. Life is tough all over.
So practice, they're back on the practice field tomorrow. They will replace the canceled night practice that was supposed to happen tonight with another one on Monday of next week. So
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices at TCO. Friday off, Saturday game, Sunday off, the night practice a week from today, and then they go to Cleveland for 2 joint practices and a game the following Saturday.
Well, that night practice, because it's 2 days after a preseason game, probably won't be full pads, right?
They might.
Do you think they'll strap the pads on?
I think they'll strap the pads on, but I mean, do I think that they're going to go as hard as they probably would have if the practice had been tonight, coming off a day off but no game? Probably not.
Yeah.
But we're going to have, here's the thing that we got for this week, we got the ability to press the coach preseason quarterback plans.
Yeah, this is the week he has to turn over his cards face up.
I'm super excited about it.
And then we get to criticize him after the fact for.
Well, I know there are a couple of things here super intriguing. One, McCarthy will play. How much? Will Darnold play? And will you throw him out there? Because Jefferson's not going to play with the first team line. I think Mullen plays a lot. Here's my question. And he's going to get snaps. What do you do with Jaren Hall, who you're probably hoping to sneak through to the practice squad, right? Very quietly. Hush, we're going to get him through the practice squad, I would guess.
You're also trying to develop him.
And you're right. But you don't want to put too much on film, because if he comes and balls out and you stick him on waivers, he's going to get claimed. I'm just throwing it out there.
I would for sure play. I'm for sure playing Darnold and McCarthy. I'm not sitting.
I think you got to. I think you've got to get Sam some snaps, and McCarthy's going to. Yes, there's no reason not to play JJ.
Yeah.
What, you're afraid he's going to get
hurt?
And
then Nick Mullins doesn't need to play, but if it was. This is where you have to balance, to your point, if you want to keep Jaren Hall on your practice squad, but if he balls out in the second half of 2 of the preseason games, does a team say, oh, man, we could let's grab him as the third quarterback?
But Phil,
tricky.
This is where I think that Nick Mullins gets his snaps.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they will play him a bunch.
Go land the plane here, Nick. Go land the second preseason game, fourth quarter.
Nick's I am no problem in altitude. Taking off and landing a little bit difficult, coach.
Yeah. Go make Lucky Jackson a star in the second half of a preseason game. All right. There it is. Daily camp notes, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl around here. It's Purple Daily, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.